Say something before we get them on.
Hey, how's it going?
No, no. Oh, there it is. Cool. Just took a second to catch up. Meeting options. Yeah, just put on yeah, right from a desk. Then everybody can.
Daniels, I did you and Meyer. Sorry, you and Hendricks.
Okay, so I got Meyer, Barry, and
Hardware.
Cool, I got.
And Shaylin, no one did.
She's her
Well,
own.
technically, I did. It was her fine arts class, though.
Well, she's her own admin or
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
What's that?
Let's see. All right, save recording, live chat. So cool, man. We got a little bit. We got about 15 minutes, a little bit more, a little bit less. So I'm just gonna go and take my video and my audio off. I don't know if you want to do the same, and then when it gets to like 12, 13, bring it on back.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Later. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Whoop. All right, cool. Yeah. Sorry, make sure I can hear you. Let me apply some background effects. So you're on my laptop right now, which was like had like the screen down, but I had the desktop going on back there.
Mm-hmm.
So in your camera was still going. So I've been watching you air drum and stuff for the last few minutes.
Oh,
It's pretty good. All right, so we should see a little blurry version of me. Cool. Yep, so got recording everything. Got a few students in here. It's being streamed in a few other classrooms as well.
oh,
So,
excellent.
yeah. So this is Mark Gruchy, by the way.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Sweet. Do I just start?
Yeah, man. Whatever your heart desires. Go do you, boo.
Okay, cool. My name is Mark Gruchy. I'm a graphic designer. I was friends with Adam many, many years ago. We're still cool. Don't get me wrong. I work under the moniker of Landmine Design, and I work with a partner and a few other companies as far as like graphic design goes. And I also do media marketing manager for a chain of Charlotte's retail stores, essentially. To tell you a little bit more about myself, because I believe that everyone's here for like graphic design style information. But for me, my educational background is insanely important. It's important to my identity and my outlook on designs and just like the world around me. So I went to the local community college in Charlotte in my late 20s and got my associates there, then went to UNC Charlotte for my bachelor's and my master's. I got my bachelor's in sociology with a minor in American history and my master's in graduate studies, which is intersectional sociology, and I got a certification in women and gender studies. And I mentioned this specifically because during my youth, I was not a solid student and had like a lot of additional issues in regards to like school and what have you. So if anybody has like any worries or any queries as to what's going on with like their educational journey, things pan themselves out, just to be clear on that. But as far as like my graphic design work goes, I primarily do like a lot of illustration based stuff, like a lot of drawing, some Photoshop kind of stuff. My largest clients, I guess, to per se, would be I've done stuff for WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, All Elite Wrestling, TNT, Cartoon Network, Hot Topic, Tijuana Flats, and I've done stuff for like local community colleges. And aside from there, like while it's cool to like name drop those things, because trust me, it is, I'm willing to do anything for anybody as long as they're willing to pay. I have no bias as far as like that goes. Because at the end of the day, what I want to do for my graphic design work is to use it to create a better future for myself and to essentially finance my educational journey. I want a doctoral degree and I want to continuously pack my resume to where it's almost inarguable that I'm deserving of the opportunity, aside from like my GPA and my research and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you a few design pieces that I've done. I have like physical product, which is pretty cool. So here are like some CDs I've designed. That's a little dark, you can't see. Where are we at? There we go. I don't know if you can actually see there. Some Photoshop stuff I've done. More photo-based stuff. Have like a little book, made my own book. Shirts. One of the All Elite Wrestling t-shirts. Physical dolls. If anyone cares or know who this is, it's the doll from the Munsters. Boom. And even some stuff for WWE guys, which I don't think you can see it here, but like I did some tattoos on Eric. And the tattoos even show up on his like playing card gimmick thing or whatever it is. So aside from that, I just had like loose advice, but I feel like the advice will come through with questions. Were there any questions so far in regards to any of the aforementioned visuals, like designs or anything?
Yeah, we got a question.
Okay.
Just in general, how long did it take you to get, like, I guess, out there as a graphic designer?
Okay. I was actually anticipating this question, so I'm very, very glad you asked it, because I think that this is important to notice. I got into graphic design maybe about 12 years ago. I was in local bands, eventually became part of like a few sign bands. You could buy our CDs in like Target, Walmart, and stuff like that, which is really cool. But the essential thing was I didn't want to pay for things that I thought I could do myself. And that's not like a cheap thing. It's just economically speaking, it didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? You as a person wouldn't pay somebody to do your signature when you could just do it and it takes no effort for you to do. So it was very, very slow at first as my attention was focused on music. But when I quit music, I wanted to do something to earn additional money while I went to college. Now, side note, I'm not sure if everyone's age breakdown in the class, so I would assume people are hovering around like 16, 17, 18. And yes, excellent. So I'm sure people have jobs there. And without disrespecting anybody, I feel like a lot of the jobs in that age demographic are like dead-end jobs, like, you know, a Pizza Hut, a Taco Bell, like a restaurant food service where like it's minimum wage. And while that's not really like a livable standard, I feel like a lot of those jobs want you to make a career out of them when they're not giving you the proper investment as a person, as an employee. And that it is what it is. Like it's really just an economic thing at this point. But I started doing graphic design work when I felt like the dead-end job that was supposed to be paying my bills when I got my associates was trying to put their nonsense ahead of my goals. And it's okay to give part of yourself to somebody if the reward is there, but I felt the reward was never going to be there. So as I continued getting my education, my bachelor's, my master's, my business would pick up. And I wouldn't specifically outsource, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't approach people like, hey, let me do your work for you. I just kept making work and putting my work out there. And it sort of picked up under my main goal, which was at the time getting my bachelor's. When I was getting my master's, I had enough clients to where I wasn't necessarily building, if that makes sense, you know, as opposed to like the associates and bachelors. So what I'm basically saying is I got this way by just doing people good, focusing on additional goals so that the stressors of expanding graphic design wouldn't be such like a headache or like an emotional draining thing, because I'm still obtaining what the system wants me to obtain, and that's my education, my bachelor's, my master's. Did I answer your question? Okay. All right.
I have to remember to unmute myself.
You got it. Okay. So to correspond off of that a little bit, one thing that I always found really helpful in my graphic design stuff was to say yes to opportunities. Because like I name dropped a bunch of cool stuff, at least stuff that I think is cool, like WWE, AEW, TNT, Hot Topic, Cartoon Network. Like, dude, it is insane to me to think that I can factually tell you, hey, I did work for these companies. These companies send me money. Some of them send me royalties. Some of them send me flat out cash. That is nuts. It is crazy that I could tell my 71-year-old mother what these are. And she's like, oh, I know what that is. Dude, that's wild. And I got those opportunities by saying yes to opportunities that were a lot more minimal. Because one thing that is really important to be cognizant of is you don't know who knows who. So in simply terms, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So to backtrack a little bit more, everybody I've done work for, I try to be as honest and fair to as possible to make sure that they can achieve what it is that they are coming to me for. And my hope was that it would pay off through facilitation to a larger scale. So to touch upon a few of the other things, you know, the Hot Topic thing came up coincidentally. Somebody wanted to submit into a contest, needed help with the design. I helped finish the design. And we lost the contest, but because I do a lot of my business stuff, like all my business stuff, the phone call was set up with me. So I got to speak to the license coordinator for Hot Topic. Now I have their contact information. I can contact them and submit designs to them directly instead of like going through like fake contests. So since then, they have bought about 4 or 5 designs from me directly, which is fascinating. But because I didn't say yes to this peer who needed help in a contest, that didn't matter to me. Because like, dude, I don't watch TV like that. I really just listen to like a lot of like educational, informational podcasts. I watch just like the basic evening news to just like be cognizant of what's going on. And I listen to like a lot of NPR, personally speaking, but I really don't watch TV as I feel like it's just a distraction from my goals. But because I didn't help this person out, I wouldn't have this cool opportunity that then facilitated additional opportunities. You know, same with the WWE stuff. I did some stuff for like a local wrestler who I think's a cool dude, but in the grand scheme of everything, they don't matter. But they were going to train with somebody who was on TV, and they were like, hey, I like that shirt. And the guy was like, yeah, thanks. I know the dude that makes it. He was really nice and very fair with money. And that facilitated that and facilitated a few other things. So he linked me up to people who were in WWE. And I did not know, like, I watch WWE, obviously, like I watch wrestling, even though I said, I don't watch much TV. But they wrote me on like my personal Facebook. And I did not know that they were who they were, you know, because it was under their real names and everything. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it's cool to say this, but I feel like there's a dissonance in how one gets to point A to point B. It's like literally small opportunities turned into large ones. Baby steps lead to big goals. And that's it.
Yeah, so I got a question for you, man. So, like, I mean, let's say eventually, I know it sounds terrifying to you. What if these people want to become a Mark Gruchy one day?
Do it.
Is like, is there like at this stage, 16 years old, 16, 17, 18, whatever, is there something they could be doing? Like, is there any kind of drawing stuff? Is there anything they could learn online? Like what kind of steps, like knowing what you know now, what do you wish that you knew then?
Okay, so a few things. One, anything that I've done, and I think it's cool, don't get me wrong, you can do, like you can literally do anything you put your mind to. And the only reason people tell you can't is because they're scared of failure. Like, don't listen to anybody. If you have a goal, no matter how idiotic or absurd it is, dude, you can do it. Like, it's literally baby steps that become big goals. Like, I know that this current generation fantasizes about people like Elon Musk and Mark Cuban, I'm sorry. Mark Cuban worked a dead-end job and got lucky because he was nice to a lot of right people and somebody clued him in on something that he could invest his little to no money in that paid off in the big turn. It's literally just be open to opportunities at this age. Practice and find yourself. And from my recollection, where I was at everyone's age in that room, I thought I was stirred fast on certain goals. Now, to be clear, I do not feel in hindsight that I was working toward where I am now, but what I was working toward helped facilitate a lot of other things that led to where I am now. So to segment, I was in a lot of bands. We toured. I did our business stuff, and I did like the minimal art stuff because I didn't want to pay anybody. But that helped develop my ability to network. Literally, what I do as a graphic designer, the most important part of this job is networking. My work does not matter in the grand scheme of things. You can find 30 people down the block who think they can draw, who think they can do designs. And guess what? They might be able to. It doesn't matter. But if they're jerks, if they're lazy, if they cost too much, you're not going to want to deal with them. Dude, you go to the barber shop because you like the atmosphere. You go to Pizza Hut or Red Lobster, whatever restaurant it is, because you like the customer service and the food. Like, if they treated you like garbage but had good food, you'd be like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. It's literally what you're selling. You're selling a personality. I know a lot of people who do god-awful work, but they make money. And that's not a disrespect toward them because maybe somebody else likes that work. It is what it is. You know, but I like talking to them as people. So I continuously network with them in that aspect. And sometimes when I'm a little overbooked, which I currently am right now, I just try to like facilitate my work to other people who I think are good people. So again, like, how do you get to point A to point B? Do good and work hard. Be honest. Be a good person.
Dude, man, that's killer, dude. Like I said, hold on a sec. What's up, buddy? How we doing? In here for the graphic design thing? Cool. Got a few additions, a few subtractions and whatnot. So if you just want to have a seat wherever you want, man. Yeah, so slightly different audience at this point right here. So what kind of computer program do you use? I know like you kind of explained to me like you have like a bit of a wild system, but is there like I don't know, I know Photoshop, is Photoshop still a big thing?
I guess so. I mean, I use Photoshop. I don't really know what other people use. And it's not a knock on them. It's just a me thing. Like, to me, I know that I preach like personality and personability is a very large thing. But for me, it is additionally important to have a specific art style. Was like Tim Burton. Everybody knows who Tim Burton is for the most part. You know, Tim Burton, all of his movies have the same feel to them. They have the same aesthetic to them. Just like a lot of Netflix stuff, like Netflix custom stuff has like a lot of feel to it. So for me, it's not only important to be like a good artist, but to have your own aesthetic, your own vibe. So personally, well, when I do photo-based stuff, I use a camera. I don't know what the specs of the camera are. I bought one that I could afford and called it a day at that. My drawing stuff, I use a free app. I think the free app is called Draw. Read a review. Review was good. It was free. Ran with it. And I use Photoshop and Illustrator. No particular reason. I just like them. I have them. And that's that. But all my designs go through a multi-step process to where like I'm doing like very, very loose sketches just to get what's in my mind on a visual so I can add and subtract to that. Then I fine tooth it, smooth it out. And then I run it through Illustrator, then Photoshop before the final project's complete. But along the way, I'm conversating with the prospective client who has paid a deposit. Do not do any work without a deposit, guys. Mm-hmm. Not do any graphic design work without a deposit because people will try to run you rampant for no reason whatsoever. And yeah, so I mean, that's generally my process. I mean, it sounds a lot cooler than it is, but like my sketches are very, very loose, very, very fragmented. And let me put this on real quick. Open share tray. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, give me a second.
Good. While you're doing that, you mentioned that app Draw. Is that like is that like on a laptop? Can that be done on a phone? Like,
I do not know that answer. It is on my iPad. Is my screen sharing?
Yeah, I can see everything, including myself looking at myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if you just want to get rid of me, yeah, all those stuff look sick.
I don't know how to get rid of you on this.
Just minimize the team screen. Because I saw like your yeah, I can see everything, including I guess Sesame Street.
Yes, it is. I like Sesame Street, man. Oh, wrong folder.
Very progressive.
Here's some just like prior work.
I saw your Darby Allin picture.
Dude, that was wild. I saw that on social media this morning. I just did that shirt for Darby Allin and AEW, and they paid for it and everything. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, there's a picture. I also did this shirt on this other blonde gentleman with the mullet. Mm-hmm. Exotic Youth. They're like a team out of Georgia.
I have a personal Gruchy question.
What's up?
How did you let's be real, you got a weird design style, which makes yourself very unique and stands out very heavily. Like, how did you stumble upon you? Because obviously, I'm not as familiar with this style, but I've never come across art like this unless you're the one doing it. Like,
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So when I started doing art, I knew that I needed an art style, but it was not something that I was cognizant of as I was growing. So at the time, I was doing what I thought that I should be doing, which was just producing work. And the more I produced the work, the more I happened to find myself. So, I mean, obviously you're looking at an array of my work. Some of it's like painting based, some of it's like photo based, photoshopped, this right here. And a lot of the other stuff is illustration based, which is like this. I stumbled onto this style because, I really like tattoos. Like, I know you know this, but I'm very heavily covered in tattoos. I have literally a sweater and most of a leg sleeve on my right leg. So I tend to adapt a lot of like tattoo culture and stuff like that, because like not only do I like tattoos, like I like a lot of like the cultural aesthetics behind it and a lot of the balance to the work. I also really like woodblock printing. Like the graphic designer in me who finds like typography very interesting likes woodblock. If no one knows what woodblock is, it's like when you see those like old newspapers and everything's like so well balanced with like designs and what have you. It's sort of like that, but there's more visual to it. So I try to blend the aesthetic of the both. And that's generally how I stumbled across my style, I guess. And maybe if I've been doing this 11 years, maybe about 5 years, maybe I kind of stumbled onto it. Then the last little bit, I've been kind of like smoothing it out and expanding on it and just expanding what I can do and things that I like. You know what I mean? Like on this picture, you have like the Splatter character, which is some wrestler from, I guess, like Kill Devil Hills, maybe. I don't know where he's from. You know, to where it's like it blends like a lot of the Photoshop stuff I did when I was still in bands. Then you have stuff like the bottom few designs, like the Kit Reaver, the Max Carnage, this John Schuyler one who's also on AEW. And it's just heavily pulled from the woodblock printing. They use minimal colors because, like, to me, it's really important that you're able to do a lot with the little. I see like a lot of art in general where they have like 1,000 different colors, and it's like sometimes it's just not good work, but they put a lot of colors in to like visually distract people from what they're seeing. It's important to me that a design is very strong and can look good black and white, like the most simplest way possible. Like if you look at like the Taco Bell logo is like 2 colors. McDonald's logo is 1 color. You can say what you want. It's an M. Let's be real about this. But they've had that same logo for like 70, 80 years, and it's easily recognizable. Same with Kiss. Kiss logo is essentially a 2 color. It's was it black and red? It has like a white outline, but just ignore that. Same with AC/DC. And like those have stood the test of time, and they're not like heavily colored.
Yeah, so sticking with the color thing. So when somebody, if someone requests work from you, like what kind of requests are they giving? Like, well, I mean, I know I've done some stuff with you, but I've never. I mean, it's always been like it's never been stuff that's had to be printed. So what does a request look like? Because you do some stuff that's got a lot of colors, or is it like strategy with how you do it? Because I mean, for those who are unaware, like shirts cost more based upon the extra colors that are on there. So what does a typical request look like?
Hey man, you do designs? Yes. Cool, I need a design. Okay. Well, what do you want? I mean, that's generally what it looks like. So for me, it's a lot of like navigating to where I'm steering the conversation to get the point A to point B, because communication's real, and there's a lot of people that can't communicate and are essentially just shooting themselves in the foot due to that inability. Now, to like tailor this back to like school real quick, based on my education, like, dude, teachers are super lenient. Like, teachers will put up with a lot of stuff if you talk to them in advance. If you play it later on, no one's wanting to hear that, because then it's just an excuse afterwards. So to me, conversation is like super important, and it's super important for me to be clear with people and to make people be clear with me. So when people hit me up for design work, I ask them specifically, what are you looking for? What is this going to be used on? What is your idea? Please give a verbal detail and 2 to 3 visual examples, because people will use some words that they don't know what it means. And it is wild to me. It'll be like if somebody was like, hey man, I need you to design a car for me. Can you design me a car? I need a car really bad. Cool, man. Can you show me a picture of a car you like and I will do something similar to it? Then they show you like 4 pictures of an 18-wheeler. And it's like, that's not a car. That's an 18 wheel. Like it has wheels, but it's not the same thing. So, it's really just like a lot of work into boiling it down to just get people to talk. And again, it's crazy, especially when I was younger. I had this like facade that adults were coherent and more concise. But there are a lot of stupid people out there making a living, and it's insane because they could be doing so much more if they could communicate a little bit better. So to backtrack to what you were originally asking, what does the design thing look like? So currently for me, a lot of my work is very, very on brand with shirt designs. It used to not be like that. It used to be a much more mixed bag, but I just kept saying yes to things, and it turned out to be shirt designs, which is very fascinating because originally I couldn't get work as shirt designers. Wildest thing. So I get hit up with that a lot. I also send people like a lot of direct visuals when they ask me for work in hopes of steering them a certain way. And it's not like a monetary thing. It's just like, what's easiest for me to maneuver around? So shirt designs, once I get them on a shirt design, I specifically ask if there's any color limitations because colors cost more to print. And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, but it goes back to something I say that like a good artist can work with like any type of color palette, color scheme, color volume, whatever, and make things happen. There's only 24 hours in the day, and you see people kill it all 24. Then you see people who don't accomplish anything in the same 24. We're all working with the same rule book. Here's just how we're playing by these rules.
So for some of your designs, like, do you ever work like with somebody? Like, is there someone else who does designs with you sometimes?
Yes. So I collaborate frequently with a gentleman named Dan. I met Dan via a wrestling board a few years back, and we did a lot of like death metal oriented design. So if anybody listens to death metal, we've done designs for like Whitechapel, Black Dahlia Murder, Carnifex, Aborted, Abiotic, Rivers of Nile, Ingested, The Art is Murder, and a variety of Suicide Silence, another one. And what happened was Dan needed an art partner, and he saw some of my work that I accidentally posted in a wrestling forum for like band stuff. What the work was a band paid somebody to do a design for them, and it was a drawing, and they only did the line work and never colored the design. I don't know what happened, and I don't care. But I was like, well, I can color it for you and format it how you want it to be formatted. If you just pay me, like, this is what I want. Give me the money up front, and I'll have it for you when, in this time frame. And Dan saw it and was like, hey, man, you finish other people's work? I was like, man, I would make whatever you want as long as somebody's paying for it. And that's how we got hooked up. So we've done a lot of designs together. He has collaborated on the Rick and Morty designs with me. So we've done multiple designs for Rick and Morty. We've also done a few designs for AEW together. We did, who else? Ring of Honor, New Japan. We've done stuff for them together. And we also did the book together, very coincidentally. But like that's how we met, and it's just saying yes to opportunities, especially ones that pay.
So business side, money side. You mentioned like, because I mean, even I, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I like I've gone to the Hot Topic in Jacksonville, and I've seen your Rick and Morty shirt. How do royalties work? Like, I mean, like I've always heard it. Like if you ask me what royalties are, I would say I know what they are, and if you'd ask me to explain, I would take a nap. So how does that work?
Royalties are fantastic. So my first run-in with royalties was during my band days. I was in a death metal band called Labyrinth, and we were signed to a label called Tribunal. Tribunal has worldwide distribution through Lumberjack, so it's very fascinating. We did multiple US tours But prior to that, I had always heard something about owning your masters. And simply put, I spent about $2,000 on the recordings and another 1 or 2 on the music video. So I wanted my money. Like I wanted this money back, because $3,000 is still $3,000 no matter how you look at it. So when I shopped it around, I found a label that offered me my money back. Like, hey, you can get 100% of the royalties since you paid for it all. And I was like, oh hell yeah. So I didn't know what that specifically meant, but within a year, I had more than my money back off the CD that we were touring off. And that's literally just from CD sales from the company themselves. Because we sold physical copies, but the physical copies went into a different, anyway, it went to a different fund within the band. So it didn't go specifically back to paying me. And I found that to be very, very fascinating. So I'm big on royalties. The way Hot Topic works, sometimes they pay like a lump sum, then you get additional royalties from. The percentile of their royalties is really low, but mathematically, due to the amount of production, monetarily, they're high. So I'm making this number up to be clear, but let's say the royalty was like 2%. It's like, damn, 2% is not anything. That sucks. But if they produce 5,000, then 2% is still a good number. I don't know the mathematic, but let's say it's like 250, 300, whatever. You know, it's still multiple hundreds. And it's like, oh, okay, so you don't have to do any work. You get the money back already. And the longer they have it, the longer you continue getting royalties. So from Hot Topic, they paid a lump sum, as I previously mentioned, but every 4 months, I get a royalty check from them, which is super cool because essentially it is found money. And the best thing about it is every time I get a royalty check, it reminds me that I can continue posting that this design exists. So not only did they pay a flat sum, they paid a royalty, and I'm still able to continuously promote this item, which I know I'm financially benefiting off of it, but I'm also adding name value to myself by its repetitive promotion, because I'm constantly acclimating people with this is the level of work I do, both visually and from a clout perspective.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of wondered, I mean, I don't know, I've always wondered how like the money stuff works. Man, you got anything you want to ask? Anything you ever thought of?
Not really. I took Adobe Design last year.
Okay. So I mean, yeah, we got a guy in here who apparently took Adobe Design last year. So like, what is it that you want to do? Have you thought about like going into graphic design or what? I'm just kind of curious to see what you can do.
I've tried it. It's not like the best. It's not my best suit in doing, but it's
Right.
something like that I can fall back on. Nothing works out.
It's not a bad idea, I mean, because Mark, I'm sure you can testify that it's something that, you know, you get progressively better at over time. And, you know, I guess the phrase hone your craft is rather applicable to this right here, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't specifically hear the individuals talking, so I do apologize if the parameters of my answer do not adequately fulfill theirs. But I never thought I'd be a graphic designer, to be super clear on this. I honestly don't know where I would be, to be blatantly honest about that. But by following my passions and saying yes to opportunities, things pan themselves out for me. So what I mean specifically is not only do I do stuff that I think is cool, and I'm very, very like flattered by any of that. You know what I mean? Like doing stuff for like companies of note is cool. It's cool to make your parents happy and make your friends jealous just a little bit. But it just kind of sorted itself out by pursuing that and just saying yes to opportunities. It's helped me a lot. Like when I graduated from college with my bachelor's, I remember looking for a career because that's what I thought I had to do when I finished my bachelor's. At that point in time, I had not decided if I was going for my master's yet, but I went around looking for work. And a few of the jobs that I had interviews for wanted me to get additional certifications in graphic design because my educational background is not in graphic design. It's in sociology, as I've mentioned. They wanted me to pay this money to get this, but the pay was 28 grand, which is insane. And if that's what anybody makes or their parents make, that's fantastic. But for me, it's like, dude, I didn't go to college for 4 years to get a bachelor's to get paid 28 grand. I make about 40 to 45 at home in my underwear. I'm not driving across town for less than 12 grand. It doesn't make any sense to sit in that hour of traffic. And it's funny to me because they want this certification, but technically they aren't qualified to hire me if they can't meet the rate of my worth. And that's not an egotistical thing, because I am willing to take an economical hit in my wages if the reward is there. There is not reward for 28 grand and whatever field that was in. It was at a home of sorts, just to give like people perspective. Another one was like at a graphic design firm that was literally in South Carolina. I live in Charlotte, if no one knows. And they wanted me to drive 30 minutes for 28 grand, 12 grand less at minimum. Get out of here. So this just kept fixing itself. And I ended up going to my master's. And the master's itself has opened additional opportunities. So, I've been interviewed for doctoral programs, which I'm very, very striving for. It's also changed my mind frame from what I want to do with my future, such as like financial investment, stuff like that. Because I care about like a lot of social inequalities and social justice issues, such as like, low income housing, racial inequalities, gender inequalities, gender discrimination specifically. A lot of this is really important to me because it's like not only how it affects me, but how it affects my friends, my family members, my loved ones, And graphic design essentially became my fallback onto my larger goals. Now, let's hypothetically say that none of those things are attainable to me currently for whatever parameters, whether it's like an issue with the economy due to like the coronavirus and how that affected everything. This graphic design thing is providing like a financial stability, which essentially was never in my cards, but it's allowing me to pursue these additional opportunities that are really beneficial to me that I never knew were beneficial to me in 2009, 2005, when I was 16, 17, 18, whatever it may be. It's all really what you make it out of. To tailor back to something you mentioned, what you said it was not a passion of yours, and you're not sure if you go to school. Dude, it doesn't matter what you go to school for. It just matters that you go to school. Like when I was in college, and keep in mind that I went to college at a later age. I was in my mid to late 20s, early 30s when I finished my master's. I'm 34 now. There are a lot of stupid people in college with me. Like, Jesus Christ, there was a lot of dumb people. And it's not like a book thing. It's just like a common sense thing, And there are opportunities there for everybody. But if you really want to set yourself apart, it's completing a task, because essentially that is what that degree shows people. It shows people like, hey, I completed something. I'm accountable. I show up. I get things done. Because you always hear people tell you these sob stories about community college, or like their first day of college was like, man, my car broke down. I didn't have any way to get to school. Yes, you do. You can walk. Trust and believe you can walk. I biked to college every day off of a highway because I didn't want to pay for the gas or the parking. Not everyone has to do that. I'm just throwing an example. Where there's a will, there's a way. When I felt like I was mistreated by a teacher because of my appearance, because I'm heavily tattooed, I showed them what was up. I told them who I was. My name is Martin Gruchy. I'm here to do work. Here's exactly what I'm doing. I'm asking you a specific question. I deserve a specific answer because I'm a human being and you're another human being, and I respect you as an individual. So again, college is important. Doesn't matter what you go to school for. Communicate with people.
So one last wrap-up question, man. I mean, graphic design, you're in Hot Topic, getting royalties, you're making designs for AEW, WWE. I mean, so a lot of people, that kind of feels like the tip of the mountain. What's next for graphic design? Like, surely, I mean, it feels like you've checked the boxes.
I had never set these goals for myself. fictitiously, I joked about a WB design a while back, and it kind of panned itself out in a few ways. I did designs for a tag team called the Revival. They were like world champions a few times in WWE. Now they're in AEW. I did designs for them in WWE. And all this is cool. I don't know where the pinnacle for my graphic design is, but the pinnacle for where I want to be is this. So I listen to like a lot of self-help books, economic books, financial analysis book, political books on Audible and audio tape. A lot of these are free if anyone cares on like Spotify and stuff like that. And I routinely set goals for myself because I keep trying to tell myself if I keep my mind focused and energized, that where I want to be is where I'll end up. So right now, my goal was to finish my book, and I finished it, published it, sold half of them, throwing it out there. To read and listen to 50 books this year. Every financial book pretty much says like every millionaire reads 50 books a year. That's cool. Well, I want to be over there. I'm currently at 30 books for 2021. I want to get into a PhD program. How am I going to do that? They're going to be people smarter than me. Realistically speaking, like I am a good student in the sense that I'm very diligent in what I'm doing. But dude, reading is hard. It is hard for me to focus. It is hard for me to sit still and digest this stuff in one take. It just is. I write notes, I ask questions, I find research, I follow up stuff. Because I can work smart in other avenues, but that is not my strong point. So my goal for graphic design currently is to get myself into a doctoral program, because it's not about monetary benefits for me. It's about systemic benefits. It's about larger goals. My goal really is about social change. How can my graphic design help facilitate social change? I've talked about racial inequalities, gender inequalities, gender bias, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, dropping them out right now. But to me, it's not about how much I can benefit myself, but benefit others. I was listening to 50 Cent's, one of his audiobooks, and he talks about his parlay into the rap industry, how he was so focused with himself getting money. And he was like, I got to a point where I had too much money I didn't know what to do with. I was only going to get so successful, then it's going to be downhill from here, realistically speaking. You have 3 top selling CDs. There's a possibility the 4th one might not sell that well. What legacy are you cementing for yourself outside of this? Because, dude, those kind of things come and go. Michael Jordan faded away. Kobe Bryant's memory will fade away into whatever the next hot thing is. But it's a matter of what is done with this money, these opportunities that facilitate change for others that truly makes an impact. My goal with my graphic design is to not only expand my research in hopes of creating systemic change, particularly through food studies that affects those larger umbrella topics that I previously mentioned, but also make everything a digestible means. What that means specifically is I want to take these research with these big words that a lot of people don't know and I barely know, and want to make it super simple that people can digest like they would a comic book, like they would a trading card, like they would the back of a cereal box, and facilitate that in a very aesthetically pleasing manner. Dude, people pay a lot of money for you to be inoculated with nonsense on billboards down the highway. McDonald's spends 10 years making those garbage sandwiches. I'm sure they taste great, but let's be real, that's not real meat, throwing it out there. Just have a billboard that sells it to you. I can be using my same energy to help make change instead of take away from people. That's what I want to do with graphic design. I want to use it just like you use tools in your regular life to help facilitate the goals I want. I want to be the first person in my family to have a doctoral degree.
That's sick, man. Yeah. So Bell actually rang like 5 seconds ago. So about spot on with the time. Yeah. How'd you feel about all that? Yeah.
Felt pretty good. Honest, straightforward information and answers.
Yeah, dude, I liked it, man. Like I like the honesty aspect. Yeah, it was cool. I like the end about like essentially the purpose behind all of it.
Thanks.
Well, cool, man, buddy. I appreciate it. Like I said, this has been streamed across multiple classrooms. I'm going to stop the recording, so it'll take probably about 5 to 10